The Foreseen arcade. Active.
RetroAchievements is certainly no stranger when it comes to homebrew games. After all, as of the making of this video, we have achievement sets for 692 homebrew games on the site, with 112 games being on the NES alone. But what about the homebrew system on RA? Well, to answer that, I would like to introduce you to the topic of today's video, the WASM-4. What the heck is the WASM-4, I hear you ask? To put it simply, it's a virtual system or fantasy console, meaning it has no physical body, a bit like the Pico 8 or the TIG 80. The WASM-4 is a Game Boy-like system that's a bit like the Arduino Boy, which also got RetroAchievement support as part of a 2022 Summer Rollout series, but the games here are more simpler. Since it's a much newer system, it comes with a tiny software library, and some of the games are just concepts or tech demos. According to the official website, the WASM-4 is minimalist and easy, and it has everything you need to build complete games, allowing the developers to get creative within 160 by 160 pixels and 4 colors. As long as it can compile to WebAssembly, game developers can use any programming language, from assembly script all the way to C/C++. And besides desktop and mobile web browser support, developers can also run their games natively, including on low-powered microcomputers and even obsolete hardware. Some games can even have support for online multiplayer, with rollback netcode based on GGPO. As part of a launch rollout, the WASM-4 saw a total of 28 sets on RetroAchievements, all of which can be played on RA libretro or RetroArch. And like many homebrew games, all of the WASM-4 games can be downloaded for free, be it via the Play section of the WASM-4 website or through the game's individual pages on itch.io. Without further delay, the Foreseen Arcade presents RetroAchievements Rollout Sets WASM-4. We begin our WASM-4 rollout video with Watris, a Tetris clone developed by Bruno Garcia, aka Aduros, and released on August 13, 2021. This is one of the early WASM-4 titles, as it was still new for many programmers and game developers alike. But for an early title, it's honestly not that bad. This one has 26 achievements worth 235 points, with the requirement for beating the set is by reaching level 24 by clearing 184 lines or more. Other challenges include scoring up to 250,000 points, clearing lines within 1 to 3 minutes after the game starts, spinning blocks and clearing lines with the bottom part, and performing the secret grade Grandmaster build up to the opposite wall. Another early WASM-4 offering, this time it's Meteoroids, a clone of Atari's Asteroids. Developed by Jay Zeber and released on October 5th, 2021, it plays in the same way as the original arcade game, where you must destroy meteors and passing UFOs. With 9 achievements worth 90 points, all you need to do to beat the set is to earn 100,000 points, though there are also 2 achievements for mastery, requiring you to reach 10,000 points without moving, and earning your first 50,000 points without losing a life. Apparently this one has some slowdown when playing it on RetroArch, while none of it is present in the browser version. So mastering the set will take some time. Developed by Richard McCormack, aka Denial Adams, and released on November 7, 2021, this is exactly what it says in the title. A simple endless runner where you play as a rectangle who must jump over squares. Hit a square and it's game over. This basic set has 7 achievements worth 55 points. Though I wouldn't exactly call it a game, but more of a hello world for WASM-4. The map is the same each game, but the hard part in Endless Runner is getting to gauge between double obstacles and loose doubles, since you have to jump differently depending on if they are tight or loose. This is especially tough if you are aiming to beat the set by reaching 5000 points with a bonus task of jumping 100 times before reaching the score of 1000. Speaking of endless runners, our next game is Skip Ahead, developed by Exoticorn and released on 11th of November in 2021. Skip Ahead is much more visually impressive than the other one we just looked at, as the platforms are done in sort of a fall 3D manner. This one has 10 achievements worth 95 points, though it is admittedly harder than Endless Runner from earlier, so in order to beat and master the set by reaching a score of 1000, you will need to be really precise with your jumps. As anyone might remember playing this little game on an old Nokia cell phone, Snake has been cloned a lot of times by many developers and programmers across multiple platforms. WASM-4 had its own Snake clone developed by Thomas Tolka, released on November 23, 2021. With 9 achievements worth 90 points, you'd assume that this will be an easy mastery, especially with a beat condition simply requiring you to reach 125 points. But the set developer made sure that this is no easy badge with 3 points, as mastery also requires you to reach a score of 25 and 50 respectively while only moving clockwise, and finishing a game with a score of 75 points or more 3 times in a row. Much like Snake, Minesweeper was cloned quite a lot across many systems, with the WASM-4 version being made by Claudio Matera on November 26, 2021. It's also one of the games for WASM-4 that pretty much requires the use of a mouse, so controllers are out of the picture for this one. This one has 6 achievements worth 25 points, with half of them simply asking you to beat the game on each difficulty. The other half involves a lot of luck, as you have to beat them on each difficulty without using the right mouse button. As our last WASM-4 game for 2021, Miku 15 was developed by Mr. Raphael and released on December 29th. This is a slide puzzle themed around the Japanese Vocaloid Hatsune Miku, and it contains 5 puzzles overall. The set for this fan game also has 6 achievements worth 25 points, and this will simply require you to solve all 5 puzzles. For mastery, you will also need to solve a puzzle in under 150 moves, so if you ask me, I recommend you go for this one using the traditional 15 puzzle, which is labeled in-game as puzzle number 4. Our first WASM-4 game for 2022 is Dodgeball, developed by Sander in the Veld, or Sliv, and released on January 7th. This is a simple game where you avoid dodgeballs thrown from every side for as long as you can. This one has 7 achievements worth 96 points, and you just need to score 350 points to master it. If you happen to be struggling with this one, here's a tip. The shadows are the hitboxes, so it's useful to ignore the player and ball sprites. when you are playing it on RetroAch, try doing the pause spam trick by using the P key on your keyboard, allowing you to move more carefully. Coming out a week after Dodgeball, next we have Antcopter, a 2D platformer developed by Edubart, originally submitted for the WASM-4 Game Jam. Voted by the RetroAchievements community as the best set to come out of the WASM-4 launch rollout, it's a 2D speedrun platformer game where you are a little ant that can glide in the air. With 27 achievements worth 179 points, you need to complete all 20 levels to achieve the beaten status. The mastery will also require you to not only collect all 80 blueberry fruits, but also clear the game without dying, as well as clearing the game within a time limit, both normally and with all collected fruit. Our next game will involve using both the mouse and a controller in mind. Released on January 16, 2022 and developed by Dial Zero, Tail Gunner is a shoot 'em up where you take down enemy planes while avoiding their bullets. The D-pad or the arrow keys are used to move the plane, while the mouse is used to aim and shoot. With 12 achievements worth 45 points, beating it requires you to get a score of 1000 or higher. Other challenges include shooting down enemies without any of them escaping, shooting down a number of zeppelins and jewel planes, and surviving for up to 90 seconds from the start without shooting down any planes. For best chances of survival, try to stay in a corner and probably shoot while only aiming diagonally. Released on January 20th, 2022 and developed by William Guimond Martin, Rolly Dango is an isometric puzzle game where you try to get Dango to the exit across each stage. This one is a very simple set to master, as all you need to do is to just beat all 8 ages for mastery worth 34 points. Though from what I've read, the game's comment page had some users who played it complain about the game's optimization, as it is very laggy on RetroAch. One even reported that the game sometimes crashes on level 6. I hadn't got to level 6 myself, as I couldn't figure out the momentum system on the 5th level, though I recommend you approach this one with caution. Another puzzle game on the video, this one is actually easier than Rolly Dango. Released a day after Rolly Dango and developed by Chemseas, Sokoban is laughably easy, as it's just 4 levels of simple puzzles and that's it. Seriously, I don't think I can even call it a game, but more of a tech demo. The set has 6 achievements worth 5 points, with the speedrun achievement, where you need to clear levels 0 to 4 in less than 18 seconds, is worth no points whatsoever. Next. For this one, we have 4 games that were released on the same day of January 22nd, 2022. The first of the 4 games is Hammer Joe, developed by M1026. In this elimination platformer, you stun enemies with your hammer and you can either push them by walking to them or hitting them with the hammer again to send them flying. And if an enemy makes contact with a stunned enemy that's flying at them, they get stunned too. While the set itself is pretty easy, with just 9 achievements worth 30 points, the game crashes a lot when playing on RetroAch, making it somewhat frustrating, especially if you're going for the score achievements. So you might want to try playing it on RA-lib-retro. The second game to come out on January 22nd, we have Tfarmer, developed by PFG. It's a mixture of a 2D platformer and an incremental game, where you can earn coins by passing through gather spots and purchasing farms to collect cash. The cash is needed to progress through the game, so farming for the cash is in order. This set has 14 achievements worth 40 points, with finishing the game being enough to consider it beaten. To master this, you need to purchase all 5 farms, having at least $4,000 or more, and finishing the game in under 4 minutes from the beginning. The last one in particular is pretty tricky, as the platforms are solid and the controls leave a lot to be desired. And not to mention, the rain causes the game to lag like there's no tomorrow when running it on RetroAch or RetroLib. Like I said in the beginning of the video, one of the features of the WASM-4 is that it allows developers to add online multiplayer to their games. However, some games are strictly 2-player only, as they were clearly built with online multiplayer in mind. And games like WLOKU is one of those games to serve as an example. The game itself is a bit like Combat on the Atari 2600, but happens to have destructible scenery akin to Worms. Since it doesn't have any single player options whatsoever, the set developer had to make do with what can be done, resulting with 6 achievements worth 8 points. The set for WLOKU can be mastered in about 2 minutes, making it an easy batch with 3 points. And the last game to come out in the same day as WLOKU, Platformer, and Hammer Joe is You Will Return, made by the same developer as Dodgeball. Now, it may seem a bit confusing at first, but upon further inspection, it happens to be a rather interesting take on Minesweeper. The idea is to reveal all the save tiles in a room to fully decode the message and proceed to the next room. However, unlike Minesweeper, there is limited visibility, and while you can scan the whole room, that can only be done in certain locations. There is no time limit, but you don't want to scan too long in spots where there is interference, as it can also cause death. This set has 9 achievements worth 62 points, and while you can beat the game by completing all rooms and getting back to the entrance, the game also has a deathless run, where you have to go from the first room all the way to the furthest room without dying once. A day after the 4 games we saw just now, we are now treated to 5 games released within the same day, starting with Assemblio. Developed by Quick5 and released on January 23rd, 2022, Assemblio is a factory automation game that is clearly inspired by Factorial and Shapes.io. The goal of the game is to complete levels by producing the required items. Everything will start with a miner, which extracts items that are transported on belts to a hub. On their way, items may be transformed using machines. And this is another WASM-4 game that requires the mouse to get anywhere. With 9 achievements worth 55 points, you simply have to complete all 11 levels, with Mastery requiring you to complete 3 different post-game challenges, as well as some creative ways to finish the post-game challenges as well. But be patient, as all of them require you to finish in a single session. The next game to come out on January 23rd is Explore the Grotto, developed by Sharondar. It's an adventure game where you, well, explore a grotto. With 12 achievements worth 40 points, this small adventure game happens to have multiple endings, with the proper way to beat the game is to achieve the good ending. To master it, you will also need to achieve the bad ending even without doing anything wrong, reaching the boss of a good ending without any means of defeating them, and beating the game without a torch. Sticking with the theme of adventure games, next we have The Legend of GEML Awakening, developed by Spaceman1701 and Restitux. Inspired by The Legend of Zelda, this is a puzzle game where you seek the ability to control the elements of coldness and wetness while exploring a vast overworld with backtracking and shortcuts to find both dungeons. With 9 achievements worth 18 points, beating the game involves finding the wands in both dungeons and fighting your way out. Other achievements will also involve finding shortcuts and finding ways out of the dungeons without the specific wand. The next game on the January 23rd lineup is Presents to the Metal, developed by Errorstream. And to get this out of the way, the achievement set is only compatible with the original version that was made for the WASM-4 Game Jam, not the updated version you can find on itch.io. It's a simple time trial platformer where you must collect presents while riding a bike and deliver them to the mailbox as fast as you can. The set has 7 achievements worth 25 points, with additional challenges including beating the game with all 10 presents in 30 seconds or less, finishing the game with no presents whatsoever, yes, that's actually possible, and falling out of bounds at the very end, making you wonder why do we even have that jump pad in the first place. Keeping the January 23rd streak going, next we have Spunky, a 2D platformer developed by Brickcodes. Yet another game made for the WASM-4 Game Jam. This one is heavily inspired by Spelunky, though it's still very prototype-ish and rough around the edges. This one has 7 achievements worth 45 points, with the beat condition requiring you to reach 300 points. Other achievements include surviving for 20 seconds while the scary monster is chasing you, as well as collecting 20 coins and completing 5 stages in a row without the scary monster coming to get you. Our last game to be released on January 23rd is TappyLoop, developed by Daves84. It's a simple but addictive game where you press X or click the left mouse button when the ball is inside the part of a circle. If you click too soon or too late, it's game over. The set contains 10 achievements worth 31 points, with the condition to beat the set is to reach 300 points. Though if you are skilled enough, you could also aim for mastery by getting 600 points, reaching 250 points without letting the ball pass the lowest part of a circle twice in between a successful hit, and making 3 successful hits that are at most 200 milliseconds apart from each other. Finishing up the month is To the Core, developed by Kurt Kennel and released on January 31st, 2022. In this semi-idle game, you play as Pant Ant, who is on a journey to the center of the earth and his home. With 7 achievements worth 40 points, all you need to do is to dig through all the 7 layers. It's easy, but it will take some time, as you need to collect gems and diamonds needed to build workshops, which are then needed to build the drills needed to dig through the layers. So once again, this will require a lot of patience. Wordle is another popular game that has seen a lot of clones, some of which also having sets on RetroAchievements. In this case, we have Lingword, developed by Jonathan Dirk and released on February 1st, 2022. The aim of Lingword is simple. You have 6 tries to guess the 5-letter word. Green tiles are correct letters, yellow tiles are correct letters but in the wrong slot, and gray tiles are wrong letters. That's all there is to it. The set has 6 achievements worth 25 points, and to master it, you need to correctly guess the word on your first try. But due to the random nature and how many 5-letter words exist in the English language, this will be a real pain in the neck, as this will require a lot of luck on your part. Released on February 17th, 2022, the next game is WASM-4, developed by WLOKU. This is a WASM-4 clone of Dance Dance Revolution, and it's definitely one of the most impressive titles to be submitted to the WASM-4 Game Jam. In fact, WASM-4 finished 3rd in the said Game Jam, just behind You Will Return and Antcopter. This one has 32 achievements worth 344 points. Not only is WASM-4 the most valuable WASM-4 set out of a launch rollout, it still is the most valuable WASM-4 set on RetroAchievements in general, with Watris, also part of a rollout, coming in 2nd. The set will require you to not only get the target score on each difficulty, but also obtain a full combo on the hardest difficulty across all 8 songs. Developed by Andre L. Alvarez and released on February 21st, 2022, MicroQuest is a rather simple adventure game where you climb up the castle slaying slimes and avoiding traps on your way up. It's short and it's simple. The set has 8 achievements worth 11 points, and while this game is short, the game also features some creative challenges, like a scavenger hunt, a damageless run, and some achievements that involve pacifism toward the slimes. Our next game on the video is Mind Palace, developed by Grotto and released on March 2nd, 2022. It's another attempt at a WASM-4 game with 3D graphics, this time being a puzzle game where you push and pull tall blocks to their outline positions. With 16 achievements worth 46 points, this set is rather interesting as it has achievements made for 2 different versions of Mind Palace. The footage you see here is from the older version, which can be found on the official WASM-4 website, whereas the newer version is available over at itch.io. As such, you will need both versions to master the set. Besides solving all puzzles, you will also have to get the speedrun achievements, as well as achievements that involve getting yourself stuck in an inescapable position in specific puzzles. And for our final WASM-4 set to come out of a rollout, we have Wired, released on 1st of August 2022. Developed by Him, the aim is to collect coins by solving puzzles with wires and circuits. The set has 11 achievements worth 26 points, with the main goal to beat the set is to reach the final room with all 8 coins. If you want to master this one, you will need to reach screen 2 without collecting any coins, as well as collecting all 8 coins within a minute and 40 seconds. And now that we're all done with this video, I will admit that the developers behind the games had some clever ways to make use of a WASM-4's limitations. I especially love how Mind Palace and Skip Ahead tried to make some attempt at 3D in a Game Boy inspired fantasy console, while games like Antcopter, You Will Return and WASM-4 were impressive showcases for it. However, some games don't exactly run well on RetroAch, while some games can be awkward to play with both arrow keys or D-pad and mouse. The latter of which is especially troublesome when playing on full screen, as you cannot see the cursor for Assemblio or Platformer's desktop title screen. And some games outright crash at various points, like with Hammer Joe. Still, the WASM-4 is an interesting specimen, which makes me wonder if we will ever see support for the Pico 8 or the TIC 8 in the future. Only time will tell. What do you think of the WASM-4 and its rollout sets? Do you have any favorites? And would you consider trying your hand at making your own WASM-4 game in the future? If you have any answers to any of these questions, feel free to leave a comment on this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on the Foreseen Arcade.